Fight Mike here. Today I'm going to be doing the full card predictions for UFC 324, headlined by Paddy, Pimblett, and Justin Gaethje. First card of the Paramount era. Finally, we're getting some good fights in. It's been weeks. I'm getting withdrawals. I'm waking up in sweats thinking about it. But we finally got the UFC back. Let's start off with the early prelim opener. We've got Adam Fugitt versus Ty Miller. Fugitt, I'm going with Ty Miller. I have to do it. I know that Fugitt's fought some pretty decent opponents. He's fought guys like Michael Morales. He fought Dulatov. But the thing is that he's just not going to be better than Ty Miller. Fugitt's got a good team. He's been training with Sean O'Malley's team recently. But the thing is that he's just not great at anything. He's very good all round, but he's a decent grappler. He's decent-ish on the feet, but he's not explosive. He doesn't have crazy cardio. He doesn't push a pace. There's nothing that I look at with Adam Fugitt's game and I think, oh, Ty Miller's not going to be able to deal with that. Whereas Ty Miller, he's explosive, he's fast, he's young and durable. And I think that's all the things that you need to beat Adam Fugitt. I don't think Fugitt is that good, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Sorry, Adam, but I'm going to have to pick Ty Miller by... I'm going to say it's going to be a boring decision. Now, the next one is Ricky Turcios versus Cameron Smotherman. Look, the card starts off pretty slow. It starts off a little bit dire with the first couple of matchups, but this is going to be decently fun, at least. I think it's going to be a little bit more fun than at least the Adam Fugitt versus Ty Miller. I'm going to go with Cameron Smotherman, though. He's been having a bit of a rough run. He lost against Ricky Simone last time out. He was getting out grappled, getting smudged against the cage. He was accusing Ricky Simone of being racist in moments. I think he's decent, but he doesn't really have too many, crazy wrinkles to his game. He sort of reminds me of, a Mayron Santos without the power, and that's really not that amazing, and without the frogginess either. Whereas Ricky Turcios, he's a little bit crazy. He's wild. He can get wins. He's really known for just, his fight against Raul Rosas Jr., where he just threw a punch without... I think he was at the very start of the fight, he tried to hit Raul with a little bit of a cheeky one, but Ricky Turcios, he's a decent fighter, but Cameron Smotherman, I think he's a little bit better of a prospect, but to be honest, neither of these guys are UFC level. I just think that Smotherman's going to be able to do more and win a decision here. The next one, another little bit of a stinker here. It's Josh Hokett versus Denzel Friedman. Look, this could be a very fun fight if Josh Hokett... Or if Denzel Friedman defends the takedowns, it could be a fun fight. But if Hokett loses, there's literally never going to be any hype for him ever again. Just because Denzel Friedman was a part of one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my entire life, where he was jiggling at range. I can't even remember the guy he fought against, but he was very boring fight. They were literally just two heavyweights standing there, looking very unskilled, waddling around the cage, staring at each other like they were going to actually do anything. And it was just a bad performance from both guys. I thought Denzel Friedman would have some sort of, promise, just because, he's got the build, he's a big guy, he's got the wrestling accolades, I think, if I'm thinking of the right guy. I just think that he doesn't really have any wrinkles to his game apart from some okay takedown defense and some nice leg kicks at range. And look, that could be enough to beat the big Josh Hokett, but I just think that Josh is going to be able to take him down. He's got the better cardio of the two. He's a very small heavyweight, and maybe that'll bode well for him in this matchup. I just don't see Denzel Friedman doing anything at all to make me think that he's, going to go out there and smoke Josh Hokett. I just don't look at him like that. He's not that good, and I think that his last fight... If your UFC debut is you stinking up an arena against Marek Bulho, I was trying to look for his name there. If that's how your UFC debut is, I don't have any faith in you literally at all. Josh Hokett, at least he went out there and he smudges you to a decision, but Denzel is pitter-pattering you to a decision, which is a bad look for him. So I think Josh Hokett's going to be able to get it done by a decision, just out-activitying him. Moving on, we've got Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. This is a hard fight for both of these guys, but I am glad that one of these unks is going to get slimed out brutally. But I think that this is going to be a decision, though. I don't even think someone's going to get slimed out. Initially, I was going to be picking it to go either one of them catching each other with Johnson catching Hernandez with straight punches. Hernandez enters into range, or Hernandez catching Johnson with like a hook as Johnson comes into range. But I actually think it's going to be a decision, and I don't think many people are picking this one to go down by a decision. But I think I'm going to have to pick Hernandez to get it done. And the main reason is that Johnson's a lot better against opponents who he's way faster than. And he has some very fast hands, but Hernandez is also very, very fast himself. And although he might not be the most durable guy out there, he's got very fast, very erratic footwork. I think he's going to be able to play like the range game with Michael Johnson. And I think he's going to stay off the back foot and avoid the damage, avoid the straight punches of Michael Johnson, and have like a similar game plan that he did against Carlos Diego Ferreira. Now, look, Carlos has nowhere near the speed of Michael Johnson, but he's got a similar like striking style minus the kicks. Michael's really going for like straight shots to the body, sometimes a hook to the body, and then straight left hand. That's the bread and butter of Michael Johnson. That's mainly his only weapon, but I think that Hernandez, at this point in his career, he's had a fair few years in the UFC. He's got to be like 32, 33 years old. He's absolutely in his prime. And I just think that he's going to avoid the shots of Michael Johnson and able to win a decision. Moving on, we've got Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. This is a hard fight for me to predict. This is such the type of fight that Charles Johnson loses. And I really want to pick Alex Perez in this one. I love Charles Johnson as much as the next guy, but this is the fight that he loses. Like every time, if you look at Charles Johnson's career, he'll go on a flippin' 3-fight winning streak. Sorry, I'm exhausted from work and I can't stop the swearing from coming out. I've got too much passion for Charles Johnson, but he'll go on like a multiple fight winning streak and then he'll lose to Ramzan Temirov. Like to a decision where he really could have won the fight if he switched on earlier. And that's the sort of loss that he could take here against Alex Perez. Perez starts well. He looked good against Asu Almabayev last time out. He started fast. He looked really good early. He was getting good takedowns on Asu, and he looked powerful and sharp on the feet. And I worry that Charles Johnson's going to have another one of those performances like the Temirov one, where he starts slow. He takes a round of like getting hit and like loading in. And then he was like dangerous late into that. He can finish Perez late, but Perez doesn't really get knocked out too often, and he's really big on getting submitted. But Charles Johnson's not really that type of guy. He's a decision or a finish. And when it goes to a decision, he usually loses them. So this is a really hard fight for me to pick. Like, I really want to go Alex Perez, but I'm going to have to go Charles Johnson just because he's been more active. He's been looking better in his fights. I know in the Asu fight, Alex Perez looked really good in that one. I just do think that Charles Johnson has been looking consistently a little bit better than Alex Perez in his fight. So, going to go with Charles Johnson by a decision. Moving on, we've got Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas. This is really close in odds, but I think Modestas is going to kill Nikita Krylov. Look, I was picking Krylov to beat Dominic Reyes. And then as soon as he lost that and he came back against Guskov, I picked him to lose by round 1 KO. And although Modestas isn't the sort of counter puncher that Russian Anthony Smith or Ukrainian Anthony Smith, not even Ukrainian, forgetting where Guskov is from, but wherever Guskov is from, he's a much better counter striker than Modestas. But Modestas is still powerful. He moves forward well. He's in the prime of his career. He's on a 4-fight winning streak, having a resurgence in his career. And I think that this is just like the times where the paths cross. Nikita's coming down, Modestas coming up, and that's it. He's going to get a round 1 KO over Nikita Krylov. That time off for Krylov really didn't work out well for him, and he came back. He looked like he was rushing against Reyes, gets slapped out cold. Looks like he's rushing against Guskov. Same exact thing. And I think he's going to come in here and try and grapple against Modestas. He's going to know that he's tried the same thing twice and it didn't work. But I think Modestas is good enough, and I think he's going to be able to knock him out in the first round with a straight punch. Moving on, we've got the Lamb to Slaughter, Atabe Gauthier versus Andrei Pulyaev. You got to go with Atabe Gauthier. Look, I know he's fought terrible opponents, and Andrei's got a chance here. He made it to a decision with the Christian Leroy Duncan, but Atabe is just a better fighter than anyone. Well, not anyone. I think that CLD would smoke Atabe, but Atabe Gauthier is a very good fighter, and I think that just Pulyaev, the thing is he's 6'4", he's massive, maybe even 6'5", And he stands so upright, and I just don't see how a guy like Gaethje Gauthier isn't going to find the chin on him. And I think he's going to get a round 1 KO here, yet again. Moving on, we've got Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. Look, he's a 9-1 favorite for a reason. Now, look, I know I love Davison Figueiredo. His prime in the flyweight division was absolute cinema. But there's a very good reason why Umar's the favorite here. Figgy, in his last few fights, looked bad. I thought against Montel Jackson, he looked terrible. I picked him to beat Montel as well, and I thought he looked bad. He does nothing on the feet nowadays. He's sort of like menacingly feinting at range. And Figgy, it ain't working, man. It ain't working, and you keep going to it. And I know he's going to do it in this one. This is going to look like the Mario Bautista fight without the successful ankle lock or toe hold or whatever. It was a toe hold. It's going to be that without the successful submission attempt and without dropping Umar. I think that Figgy's going to get dominated from start to finish. He's going to get smudged on the ground. I bet Umar's not going to do too much ground and pound. Might go for a Kimura here and there. I think Davison survives it, or he gives up the Kimura and gets submitted. And I think that he goes to a smudge decision that's actually boring. I thought the Bautista fight was all right between Umar and Bautista. This one's going to be bad. I have a feeling it's going to be so bad, and that's why they put it on the prelims. Moving on to the opener of the main card, Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. See, look, the second this fight came about, I was picking Arnold Allen. As soon as it came about, everything about the fight as well makes me want to pick Arnold Allen. But I'm not going to. I never pick people who are on this long of a layoff. And it doesn't matter how much I think the stylistic matchup works for Arnold Allen. I have to go up against him. Because Gene Silva, he's very emotional. We saw that against Diego Lopez. And we've seen that people can survive the shots if your name's Diego Lopez and your chin's made of granite. But Diego Lopez, we don't really see him get rocked or jelly-legged. Whereas Arnold Allen, we've seen that twice. We saw that against Movsar Evloev, who doesn't rock a fly. Or Max Holloway, which I get. It was scrapping it out, duking it out in the 5th round. You hiccuping constantly. You can't fault Arnold Allen for that. But my reasoning is I hate to pick people who have had massive layoffs. Because every time I do, they come back and they look awful. They look like a shell of himself. And Arnold Allen's coming off almost a 2-year layoff. Something like 20 months or something like that. I wish I could pick Arnold in this one. I love Arnold Allen. I think he's very underrated. I would say he's in the top 5 most underrated fighters on the UFC roster. But the thing is that, when you're taking this big of a layoff, I would have preferred an opponent that wasn't Gene Silva. If he was coming back against Aljamain Sterling, I pick Arnold Allen every day of the week. He comes back even in a 5-rounder against Movsar Evloev. I pick him every day of the week. It's just against a guy who's got the counterpunching and the ability to find your chin with such explosiveness like Gene Silva. I just can't pick Arnold Allen. I think Arnold's going to get knocked out as well. Arnold's got a chin of granite, but his timing is going to be so far off. He hasn't been in the octagon for a very long time. And you can bet on Arnold Allen breaking his hand within the first 2 minutes of a fight because it happens every time. And with all of those factors in play, I have to go with Gene Silva by knockout in the 2nd round. I want Arnold Allen to get it done more than anyone else. I just can't pick it. I literally thought he was going to get it done up until the tape study 2 weeks ago. When I really just deeped it, I was sitting there just damn, Arnold's coming back, and he's coming back against a dangerous opponent who can knock him out cold, and Arnold's not going to be his best self. Gonna have to go with Gene Silva, round 2 knockout. But you'll never see a happier me than the recap video if Arnold Allen gets it done. Moving on, we've got a fight that should be on the prelims under Umar versus Figgy. Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Now, look, the breakdown's short and sweet for this one. Natalia Silva's gonna get it done. Rose Namajunas isn't it anymore. At 115, she was much better than 125, and her last couple of performances were terrible. I thought that she lost against Miranda Maverick. Not even just saying that because I picked Miranda. I just thought that Rose did nothing in that fight. She looked a bit like a Figueiredo, fainting at range, doing nothing. And Tracy Cortez, that fight was terrible. She should have finished Tracy Cortez. We saw how easily Erin Blanchfield handled Cortez. Do the same, Rose, if you're that good. And the thing is that Rose just isn't as hungry anymore. She's had the belts. She's already moved up. She's had her initial run to the 125-pound belt. Now Silva's more hungry, more active, the more powerful kicker. She's got the better footwork. She's got the more hunger, even though I just said that. And the thing is that whoever wins this is in the position of getting a 125-pound title shot. And Rose is never going to be in that position. Confident, I could bet a lot of money on it. I know that Natalia Silva's winning this one. Rose doesn't have the minerals anymore. She's too much with Pat Barry and not enough with Trevor Whitman. She was good then, she's not now. And we're seeing that come out in every single fight. Now moving on, we've got Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Derrick Lewis. Before I even break down the matchup, why is Derrick Lewis's pictures always edited? Like, you're telling me that Derrick Lewis's recent photos aren't edited. In the Taliesin Teixeira fight, he was still fat. He was still fat. And all of the photos coming up to it, if you don't remember the fight week, was Derrick Lewis, he's looking so trim now. And it's like, this is the same fatty that I always see. Like, genuinely, it's the same exact fatty. He shows up in bad shape every single time. Like, you're not going to fake me with these, like, AI photos of him trimming down. That's not Derrick Lewis. We've seen it time and time again. Everyone's like, oh, he's in great shape. This time they're even pulling out the peptides. Nah, he's going to come in fatness shape like every time. But I'm picking Derrick Lewis to lose this one. There's always a chance he could land a brutal late KO. But I've been betting against Waldo consistently up until the Shamil, the Blob Gaethje fight. And I can't bet against Waldo anymore. He's got the granite chin. I picked him. No, the reason why I was like, I was so mad at Waldo. Oh, don't even talk to me about this. Literally, if you watched that video of where Waldo fought Sergey Pavlovich at UFC Shanghai last year, I was flipping out because I picked Waldo because of the granite chin. He's more active on the feet. We had a terrible version of Sergey Pavlovich, and I was like, okay, this is where Waldo gets it done. And then when he doesn't get it done and he looks like an absolute sack of mess out there and he's fainting and jiggling at range going for flying headbutts against Sergey Pavlovich, I vowed to never pick him again. And that was a bad decision because I picked against him against Ante Deleja and Ante wasn't able to get it done. And Waldo cracked Ante's chin, knocking him out cold after getting eye poked. And then from there, I knew he was the real deal. Like literally couple of weeks difference. I think it was literally like a month and a half. And I was already like, okay, Waldo's actually pretty good. I was just crashing out because he lost to Sergey. Because Waldo's got a granite chin. He really does. He gets hit with a lot of shots constantly. And he's got that granite chin. Maybe, to be honest, if anyone's going to knock him out, it's Derrick Lewis. So that's why Derrick Lewis is like a good hedge bet here. But Waldo's a good game planner. And he's going to wrestle Derrick Lewis. And even though Derrick Lewis, he's going to be able to get up just a couple of times, just push Waldo off him and get up. When he gets back up, Waldo's got the granite chin. He's got the Dominican chin to back him there. And he's also just got the leg kicks. He's got the jab at range. He's got the jiggle around and like use his footwork and salsa ring around. Salsa Boy's quite good. So I think that Salsa Boy's going to be able to win. And I think he's going to get a decision. Now look, if you're a betting man, the odds on a decision are very good. So I would be taking it, and I probably will be taking it over the weekend. Now, co-main event, Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Now, look, I wanted to pick Song Yadong. I do really want to pick Song Yadong. Going O'Malley decision, though. I wanted to go with the TKO as well, but Song is way too tough for that. We've seen time and time again, he's got a massive head, and that head can get hit thousands of times before finishing him. And I just think stylistically, this is always going to be a tough fight for Song Yadong. Because Song's kind of like he's a straightforward guy. You know what you're getting with Song Yadong. You don't like, maybe we've seen that he's working the judo. He's going to pull out some judo tricks. That's the new wrinkle to his game. I promise you there's nothing else. I know that we're not going to see Song Yadong throwing like a spinning wheel kick and knocking out Sean O'Malley. And if we do, good on him. But I don't ever see, when Song Yadong burst onto the scene, we were talking about him like he was going to be a champion, but I don't see the leaps and bounds in his game like I do with some fighters. Like, some guys, when they're coming up, literally, like Paddy Pimblett, we're about to talk about him, but he's a great example. Each fight looks considerably better with a Paddy Pimblett fight. Song Yadong, not so much. Like, he makes the same mistakes. Like, In the Sandhagen fight and the Petr Yan fight, he made the same mistake of just following around Petr Yan, following around Sandhagen, walking across the octagon. Doesn't do a great job of cutting off the cage, and he just doesn't make that adjustment. And I think the adjustment he's going to make in this fight, since he's team alpha male, he's going to do I'm going to shoot single legs constantly, and then once he's used to defending the single leg, I'm going to go for an overhand. And look, that worked for Merab. And in the second round of that Sean O'Malley versus Merab fight, Merab caught him with that time and time again. Maybe Yadong's able to do the same. Maybe. I don't know if he can, though. Like, I really don't know if he can, because Song is very tough, but he doesn't really have wrinkles to his game. He doesn't have the same, like, attack and just, like, persistence as a Merab does. And Sean O'Malley, he's going to be able to defend takedowns from guys who aren't as good as Merab. Like, it's not like we've never seen him defend takedowns. He was able to defend some against Petr Yan and able to get back up in moments against Yan. So I think against a worse wrestler, he's going to be able to do the same. And unless Song Yadong's come in with like a massive difference, that Cejudo fight was very unimpressive now in hindsight. Now that we saw Peyton Talbot school him and take him down at will, hitting him with his own moves, the Song Yadong performance is way less impressive. I almost thought that was impressive of Henry Cejudo, but it's kind of just unimpressive from both of them. And to beat Sean O'Malley, he's got to be kicking a lot more. Got to be funnel, if he wants to beat him on the feet at least, he has to funnel Sean O'Malley to move into a section where he can catch him with an overhand. And that's by kicking, it's by hitting him with a lot of shots on the outside. And Sean O'Malley, that's just the distance and the range that he's better at. And Song Yadong's not going to be able to find himself in this one. And I think Sean O'Malley is going to piece him up for all 3 rounds, winning a decision. Moving on to the main event, I have done a massive breakdown on this fight, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. I'm picking Paddy Pimblett. He's going to get it done by a submission. I think it's going to be from the 3rd round, I would believe. But the longer that the fight week goes on, the more I would love to have picked Gaethje, because to be honest, Paddy Pimblett, he's very good. He's been showing leaps and bounds of improvement. He's got great kicking game. He's a really good grappler. He's really good once he's got your back. He's got great ground and pound. But he's got good range keeping. He's actually quite a smart fighter. But he holds his chin so high. And I know that that's everyone's one main concern with him. But Justin Gaethje is actually very good. Very, very good fighter. And I think Justin doesn't really get the credit that he deserves, because he's very damaging and he can wear you out very quickly. And I think one area in this fight that I think is very dangerous for Paddy Pimblett is the clinch. Although that's where he should be able to get his takedowns from, it's also where Justin can be the most dangerous. We saw in the Fiziev fight, he was able to drop him in the clinch with an uppercut. And I think that Paddy is there to be hit in the clinch, and I think he's going to have to really avoid that one. Now, for Justin, I don't think the leg kicks are going to play a massive factor like a lot of people do. I think the head kicks may play a factor if he can get Paddy to think about those legs. But where he's going to have to really focus on is that clinch. And then also going, even though he does it all the time anyway, going for that left hook on the break. Justin Gaethje's bread and butter is throwing something that's not a jab with his rear hand, usually a straight right hand, and then ending with a hook sweeping across. And against Paddy Pimblett, Paddy's so there to be hit that shot's going to be open all night. It's just whether Paddy can take it. And it's whether Paddy's got a counter for it, or if he's got something to take Justin off balance and maybe get a swivel around to the back, or duck under and go for a takedown there, make Justin sprawl and work from there. Like, there's many options for Paddy, but it's going to be tough for him on the feet. It is really going to be tough for him on the feet, because Justin's a very hard fight just because of the style that he has with the wide hooks and the lead overhands and the rear overhands coming over the top. It's tough for Paddy because he's going to have everything coming over the top with bombs, but I don't see the same one-shot KO power from Gaethje, and I'm seeing a guy who's got staff at the moment. He's not going to have the same cardio. He's 37 years old. He's worn the damage of a 50-year-old that's still fighting. He's worn the same amount of damage as anyone ever in mixed martial arts history. Like, he's been in so many 5-round wars even before becoming into the UFC at World Series of Fighting. And I just don't think with that level of wear and tear and that level of damage that you're going to beat a young surging prospect in Paddy Pimblett. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, though. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.